Podcast number 3
of the Story Traders podcast.
plus Isaac.
Yo, what's up?
All right, so this one is about stories about camping. So the story that I'm going to tell goes all the way back. It starts back in 2008. Our family went on a massive 5,000-mile trip, tent camping trip to the Canadian Rockies.
Oh, that's crazy.
And since we were going tent camping, my dad was like, we should probably get some bear spray.
I think I know what you.
So we got some bear spray, carried it with us on all 66 miles that we hiked on that trip. Never saw a bear close enough that we had to worry about actually using the bear spray, thank goodness. But we had this bear spray for 2 years after that we just kept just in case because we like hiking and we like camping. In 2010, we decided to go out to Yellowstone. And we're pulling a camper this time. We drive all the way out there. We get into Yellowstone, into our campground in the evening. And it's late enough. We get the whole campsite set up and everything, but it's late enough that we didn't want to actually start a fire to make dinner and everything because we were going to get up early the next morning, go on a hike and see some geysers. Well, we end up having dinner of just a bunch of these pre-made cups of noodles where you just heat up the water ahead of time and just pour it in there and you got this soup. It was actually pretty good. But we were all just sitting in the Suburban. It's dark, but we've got the doors open, just enjoying the mountain air, which
I think
is
only
better.
One door is open. I think it was the front, either the passenger or the.
Okay. Well, we just had a door open. We were just enjoying the mountain air. Because I remember very distinctly pulling into Yellowstone National Park and thinking, this air is amazing compared
wonderful.
with, Central Ohio air. And so we're just eating our soup. My dad gets out of the car and walks off a little ways. And we don't know.
Did he not tell us what he was going to do?
I don't think he told us what he was going to do.
Okay.
He walks off, and we're all just eating soup, talking about what we've got coming up over the next couple days. And Mom starts to cough. She's just like,
My dad didn't start first?
oh, maybe he did.
I think he was. He had walked away and he just starts wheezing.
Yeah, he starts coughing, and then she starts coughing. And she just gets into this big coughing fit.
Yeah. Which occasionally happened.
Occasionally happens, and then
totally
whoever's telling
uncommon?
the story or whatever just pauses and, hey, you okay?
You good?
Yeah. So then the rest of us just start coughing. Everyone's coughing.
The way I remember it was very distinctive. Dad first started coughing like crazy, and we'd all noticed. We're like, whoa, okay.
What is going on?
And then my mom started. She's in the front seat, so she was right next to the open door. And then it was middle row started coughing, and then it was then finally the last row. It was it just slowly creeped through this car.
Yeah, turns out that Dad had gone off a little ways to test this bear spray. That was 2 years old. We just had it sitting around. Just wanted to make sure that it worked, that it would at least spray. And did it ever spray?
Yeah.
The wind was going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And came back into the car, making everyone just have a coughing fit that they've never had before. And he comes back, he's coughing, and he's laughing at the same time. He's like, I am so sorry. While he's trying to cough, he's like, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I did that. I didn't even think about the direction of the breeze. And so, yeah, ever since then, I don't know how many times we've talked about bear spray and just making sure that make sure you tested the right direction.
Yeah, right direction is key.
Yeah.
You said, boy, did that thing ever work. And I would say, yeah, also, boy, was the wind ever blowing. It was blowing for sure.
Yeah.
He did not check that.
Classic Bale family camping trip.
Yeah. And I will also say the bear spray said something about cayenne on it. And I would agree.
Okay.
Spicy.
Yeah, you could feel it in your lungs.
Yeah, it got up. In
Isaac,
there.
you ever had that happen before?
Not out camping, but when I worked at Gander Mountain, somebody accidentally was looking at the bear spray, and let's just say they dropped it, and it emptied the whole can.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, we had to like evacuate the whole store. It was the worst thing on the face of the earth. Like we were coughing, tears, snot, everything coming out. It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably worse than what we had.
That is crazy. So it was a customer that dropped it.
Yeah, like what you guys did. They were going out west and they wanted some bear spray. And so they were looking at it. I think they were reading the back. And when they dropped it, like normally there's like a safety on it.
Oh yeah.
But the way it hit the ground,
popped it off.
It blew the whole top of it off and just emptied the whole can.
Dang.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Classic.
And that's a big store. Just to empty the whole store.
Yeah, pretty much. It was legit. I mean, I thought I was like in the military going through like basic, going through the gas chamber. Like it was bad.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
All right, what's your camping story?
All right, I'm going next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my camping story actually involves both of you guys. It was when we went out to New York, and I remember we had it was pretty last minute trip. So not a whole lot of details were planned, but I remember once we all decided we were going to go, I had like briefly looked up like where we wanted to go in New York, and I found this like, what was it, Mount Hope?
Yeah.
And I was like, Mount Hope, we got to do this hike. This hike looks sweet. You guys were both on board. And it was decent ways up there. What, like 10 hours or something?
Yeah, it was pretty far.
And we were leaving on a Friday after work, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So like we knew we couldn't get all the way up there that night. So we were like, okay, probably like 5-ish hours. That'll like leave us right at like Finger Lakes area. And we were like, I don't think we wanted to book a campground because we didn't know how far we were going to get. So we were like, we'll probably end up there, but we didn't book anything. So we end up driving. We end up getting to the Finger Lakes area, pull into this campground. It was probably 12:30 at this point, a.m.
Yeah.
So pretty late. And the first thing we see at the front of this campground is this big old sign that says, "Do not camp here if you do not have a reservation." Like, dude, pretty blunt.
It said exactly, do not come in and set up if the office is not open. And we've all done so much camping before and never seen anything like that.
No, it's like, it almost seems like gold standard. Like, you're totally fine to come into a campground and set up after hours and then pay the next day.
Yeah.
So once we saw that sign, it was like, that's not good. And I was driving. You and Isaac were just like, no, we can't stay here. I was like, yeah, but I mean, well, it's pretty late. So like, what's the actual chances that anyone's going to come in here after us? Like, if they've reserved a spot and we happen to be in the spot, I mean, that's just so unlikely. So I'm
already known as a hardcore rule follower.
Yeah.
And I remember multiple times Josiah being like, that was the day that I found out how much of a rule follower Isaac is.
Yeah, both of you guys, just hardcore.
Oh, yeah. I was so nervous when you were like, oh, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just go in there and camp. And I'm like, bro, I've never seen a sign so big in my life before that said, do not enter if the office is closed. So I was like, dude, I don't think so. I don't really think we should, man. We're find somewhere else.
So I eventually, like, we're just debating out there probably 5 to 10 minutes. Eventually I convince you guys, I'm like, let's just drive into the campground. Like, we're not committing to stay. Let's just drive in, see if there's any open spots. And if there's some open spots, maybe we can think about it. So we're driving through. I feel as though like 40 to 50% of the campground was open. Like, there were so many open spots. So we were just pointing out all these spots, and I was like, this is totally fine. Like, literally nobody's gonna care. And I legit feel like we were driving around that campground for like 45 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was that long. And because I kept on trying to convince you guys, like, this is fine. And you guys were like, it's not. Like, you guys were trying to look up other campgrounds. Like, I don't know how we were out in the middle of nowhere that much, but I feel like the closest place, even a hotel, was like an hour further.
I remember us thinking about a bunch of different options. One of which was like a hotel. One was we were trying to find another state park somewhere, or just even another campground. And I remember us even talking about the possibility of setting up our tent in the parking lot. Because then when they came in the morning, we'd be like, well, what you guys expect us to do? We're not allowed to just go in there. And so now we're just going to park and we're just going to camp in your parking lot.
I've never seen Josiah so frustrated in his life before.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, guys, it's simple. We just go in there and we find a spot and we camp. And I'm like, no,
and then we
man.
pay in the morning.
Yeah, we're just paying in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'll find a hotel. I'll pay for the hotel. Like, we're not doing this. But yeah, it was, yeah. He was like, guys, it's simple. Like, come on, stop being rule followers for once in your life.
So eventually, like, this point, it was probably 1:30, getting close to 2, and you guys are like, fine. You finally broke down. We pick a spot and we set up camp. We woke up
possible.
Yeah, very, very quietly. We woke up decently early for getting to bed at 2. I mean, it was probably like 6:30 or 7 or something. Because we were like, we don't want the camp staff to come around and be like, nobody has this spot. Why are you here? So we're like, let's set up, or let's pick up early. So we got everything packed up. And I remember driving out of that campground. We all three of us were thinking, like, boy, with that sign up there, I hate the thought of walking into that office and making a fool of ourselves. Like, why'd you guys decide to come in here when
we were tired?
We can't read. like what the heck do you say to that? And I remember Isaac just slyly just throwing it out there. I'm just like,
and it's not like no one had thought about this.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, so are we gonna walk in the office? Or are we just like driving out? I was like, what?
In his defense, I think that everyone was like, we could just drive out and no one would ever know.
100%.
But we were all like,
we should pay.
Pay.
All of us knew that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But we just didn't want to walk in and admit that we just completely didn't pay attention to the sign at all.
Yeah. Not to throw Isaac under the bus.
No, me out of everyone, like, I feel like I was the last person in the group who would recommend just not paying and just leaving. But I was like, I really don't want to go in this place and be like, yo, we blatantly disobeyed and stayed here. Yeah. And yeah, what can I say? I just said what we were all thinking, but yeah.
But we all agreed.
Agreed.
We all agreed.
We got to go in and pay. So, I mean, honestly, it didn't seem like they cared at all. We just walked in and said, hey, we're in B6 last night. We rolled in after you guys closed. Can we pay for it? And they're like, yeah, sure. Oh, okay. That was so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my story. Trip was super fun. Love that. That was a very fun time.
All right, Isaac.
Yeah, so this story actually is the same trip. So we ended up, once again, finding this little campground, spur of the moment, up in like the Adirondacks, up in New York. And yeah, like gorgeous lake, best campground I've ever stayed at in my life before. So pretty. But yeah, so we were like, just like Josiah had said, he wanted to hike this Mount Hope, which was a gorgeous hike. And so we pulled into the parking lot, and I don't know, like the whole trip he'd been talking about this girl and about how they were just like perfect for each other. And
I don't think I said we were perfect for each other.
Okay, well, maybe not in the exact words, but that's essentially what he said.
It was the vibe.
Yeah, it was the vibe. And so we pulled into the parking lot, and we were giving him a hard time about it. And I'm like, listen, dude, like, if we get to the top of this mountain and you have cell service, you got to call her. And he's like, oh, no, there's no way there's going to be cell service up there. We're in the middle of nowhere, man. And I'm like, okay, so you want to make this better? What? And he's like, well, I don't know. And then Caleb's like, dude, I mean, what's it going to hurt? I mean, you don't think there's going to be cell service. You said there's like a 98% chance there's no service. So
I was like, what? You either get married or you don't get married.
yeah, exactly. So the whole way up, it was probably like a, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hour hike. We were hiking up this. Josiah keeps like looking at his phone. He's getting real nervous because there's still a couple bars.
I definitely do remember looking at my phone. I was like, okay, no, we're getting pretty high and still no service. I think I'm good. But I will also say probably the only reason I agreed to that in the first place is because I was like, it's a dude's trip. Come on, like if somehow I actually end up marrying this girl, what a fun story to rekindle our friendship.
We were just
because my friends put me up to calling her. I was like, that's a pretty fun story.
Spoiler alert, he didn't marry her.
Yeah, definitely did not.
But it still makes for a good story, though.
Yeah.
Like, so we get to the top, and he looks at his phone. I mean, it is full bars. I've never seen better service in my life before.
Oh, yeah, I've had worse service in Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. And he looks at his phone, and he just has this like disappointed look on his face, and he's like, "Well, guys, I mean, I really don't need to, do I?" And I'm like, "Bro, come on now. Like you said." He's like, "Well." Okay, it's like, well, she's not going to answer the phone. I'm not talking to her in like 6 months.
I remember we got up to the top, and I had quickly snuck a look at my phone, saw that there was service, quickly put it back in my pocket, and I was like, I mean, we got to the top. Views are beautiful. I'm not even sure they'll remember. Like, they might just completely forget. So I was kind of riding on that hope that you just might completely forget.
Yeah, the views were amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen more beautiful fall colors.
Yeah, I mean, it was gorgeous. The whole hillsides were just painted with red, orange,
Yeah, vibrant.
everything. It was gorgeous. But even though it was gorgeous, the thing that was foremost in my mind was Josiah calling this girl. And so we're like, okay, man, you got to do it. And he's like, oh, she's not going to answer. Calls her. It was like first ring, man. She picked up the phone and he's like, guys, I'm gonna walk over here now.
So Isaac and I are just like walking off to this other area, and we just keep looking back and watching him as he's just kind of like kicking stones around, talking to this girl, and we're like, dude, this was classic.
It was legit one of the cutest things ever, not gonna lie. He just like such like a little kid kicking stones, talking to this girl, like it was hilarious. And then he hangs up and comes over and he's like, I'm really glad you guys made me do that.
He was like, that was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we had a very cordial conversation. It was fun catching up. Obviously, nothing didn't go anywhere, and I'm happy about it. All good. Got a good story out of it. So
Yeah. So I don't know. That's my story. It was just a good time and just a bunch of guys hiking and yeah, that was such a great trip.
Yeah.
Like I still talk about it to this day, like
Yeah,
with friends.
Yeah. And on all the podcasts that you get invited into.
Yeah, all the podcasts.
Yeah.
one of the sweet things about that trip was the when we rented the canoe at that campground.
Oh,
And then I wanted to get
Yes.
I wanted to get the drone footage of like up high somebody kayaking or somebody canoeing in the lake. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah, just like some pictures.
Yeah.
Like some classic Instagram cool pictures.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about that is the three of us getting this canoe. It was a big canoe. And Josiah and Caleb started freaking out. They're like, it's going to flip. It's going to flip.
I will actually come.
I did not freak out.
I will come to Caleb's defense on that. It was mostly me. It was not meant for 3 people. That is for sure. It was
That's
2 people, and like canoes versus kayaks, you can feel way more of the movement in a canoe. And I will also say I was holding my new drone, and I was like, boy, if we tip, I was like, not only am I gonna lose it, but like all that money down the drain, I'll be so mad.
Yeah. I'll give him that. I would have been pretty nervous if I think I remember not bringing my drone because I didn't want to worry about anything.
Yeah, it got to the point where they were like so nervous about this drone and about how tipsy the canoe was. I was just like, okay, you guys just stop paddling. Let me do it all. And so I'm just chauffeuring these two around the lake. And then Josiah sees this rock in the middle of the lake. And he's like, dude, I want to get on this rock. And we're like, okay, cool. So we pull up to this. He gets out because he wanted a cool like drone shot of him standing on the rock and like kind of swooping down across the water, and then kind of comes up and sees everything. And so like I drop him off and he's just kind of chilling. And then me and Caleb are just like, okay, deuces. And just leave.
Yeah,
And he's like,
they just freaking left me on this big rock.
are you guys going to come back or what?
Yeah. And so then Isaac goes to this other island, drops me off with the drone, and then he canoes off, and I'm just like flying this drone, taking Josiah's future Instagram pictures and taking some pictures of Isaac just putzing around in the lake.
I tell you what, that was some of the coolest like video and pictures that I have of like camping and stuff.
Legit, like I never really got into like making these cool reels or anything, but I definitely have occasionally gone back and watched that video because it's just so many fun memories, and I feel like it turned out really sweet. Mostly because of the drone footage. The drone footage was insane.
It was 100% in the drone footage.
Yeah, and because we have the drone footage, you know, the camping trip happened. It you know, that's the reason that this camping trip happened. You know, we have proof.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, to be honest with you, that's kind of one of the reasons we went in the first place is we wanted some sick
Instagram,
pics
you
for
know?
Instagram. So,
That's very true.
Yeah.
yeah.
And now we're all out of that phase.
We know Isaac's still.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Just because
In
I'm the only...
in his defense, he's the only one that's not married here.
Yeah, exactly. So you still got to at least give it a shot, right? If you stop trying, like...
Yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah. But now you just kind of have to go a couple of different directions, so...
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we've got a legit comment. The last two episodes, last two episodes, we haven't had any legit. Well, they've been legitimate comments. They've been from Isaac, but they haven't been like written anywhere. They were just told to us.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we have an actual comment on our first episode. Just I was gonna read it.
Here we go. So we got from at I am a farmer, North Texas, or NTX. You two have too much time on your hands, like 33 minutes too many.
That is one of the most legit comments I've heard.
So thank you, I am a farmer NTX, for your engagement. If you want another comment read on the podcast, then yeah.
Also, that's a fantastic username.
Mm-hmm.
Like props to them.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right. That has been episode 3 of the Story Traders podcast. Join us next time where we just trade stories. Okay, that's it.